They're coming in now.
Okay. Okay, so we're going to begin. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our District 5 quarterly meeting. I am your board member, Erika Mitchell. I serve District 5. And this evening, I kind of want to do something a little different that I haven't done since before COVID, when we used to meet in person. I always like to bring in people to present different things that I think is a good resource for our students and to the district and for our families as well. Today I have two people that I wanted to share with you all. One is Ulysses Narvetti. ¿Cómo se dice correcto?
Está bien así.
Okay. And he is with Rex Academy. They have a K-12 computer science curriculum, and I really have been pushing for a K-12 computer science curriculum for a lot of different reasons. When you talk about the job industry changing within the next, right now, but in the next 10, 20 years, it's going to be totally different. And technology is going to be leading the way, especially with AI, artificial intelligence. And how do we ensure that our students are being prepared from a K-12 education for pathways, college, and career? So I would like to, he will be presenting a little bit about what they provide in the K-12 space for computer science. Also, I do have Sebastian Barron on behalf of the governor's office to kind of give us a report on the governor's initiative in the K-12 space, especially in Atlanta, because he is directly working with our Atlanta community. And I do have a representative from Raphael Warnock office if Paran Bosick would like to share out later on this evening. But those are the people that I did invite to this meeting, so we can have opportunity to hear from them. But then I also want to hear from our parents, and then I will also give a rundown of what we have been doing as a district and what are our next not next steps, but we do have a board meeting on Monday, which is December 6th. No, December 5th, I'm sorry. And then we have a couple of other dates that are important. We have the superintendent evaluation, and then we also have to appoint a school board member to at-large seat 9. But I would like to go ahead and get started with Ulysses. So if you have screen sharing rights, you can go ahead. You may begin. I apologize.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Board Member Mitchell. I completely appreciate this. This is such a wonderful opportunity to meet with and speak to the communities that we serve out here. And it's just my honor to be able to do that. I will start to go ahead and share my screen here, and I will see if you guys can see this. Is my screen visible? Are you guys seeing the slide in front of you?
No.
Okay, so let me go ahead and change this one more time. Give me just 1 second here. And we have to pick that screen is what we have to do. Perfect. Okay. Well, this conversation came about actually after a meeting over at Council of Great City Schools, where I met Ms. Mitchell, and we talked real briefly about computer science and just kind of how things were going to be changing. And we really struck a chord in the sense of wanting to change and end generational poverty by providing educational opportunities through computer science and cybersecurity fields for all K through 12 students. I'm hoping you guys now can see my screen. It looks like, yes, I am sharing my screen. It looks like everything's good to go there. So what I'd like to do for you all, I'm going to take just a couple of minutes to just kind of share with you just a brief video. It should take about 3 minutes, and hopefully you should hear the audio as well in that. And this will go ahead and launch for us. Video was absolutely people. So people are already actually missing from that. And if you don't think that that's happening or that that future is really is here already, you better believe that it is. This photo actually was taken just a couple weeks ago. I actually took this at the Nashville airport on my way back from IEI, which is the Institute for Educational Innovations. And this was actually at the airport where they already have one of those Amazon Go stores. There's absolutely no employees in there. They promote that it's as easy as 1, 2, 3, and people are standing there like, oh my gosh, how do I get my stuff? And the truth of the matter is they go in and they get these items, they put it in on their phone, and they're able to check in and check out without actually ever having any kind of interaction. And so the future that we're talking about is here. The future that we're talking about in computer science and coding is actually coming faster and faster and more than we know it. A little bit about Rex Academy, and this isn't about us necessarily today. This is about the community and kind of building awareness of what computer science does for the organization and does for the school district and your students out there. It's not a platform. I'm not here to pitch you on our product, but I will tell you that we are one of the products, the premier products that are out there in programs to be able to help our students. I will give you guys a really quick glimpse about who the company is, but more so just to share information with you about the opportunities that are available to our students. We are a women-owned and minority-owned business whose origins started in 2015. It was founded by our CEO, Sandy Padala, who actually was one of the leading engineers at Harley-Davidson. And when she found out that her kids weren't given the right classes and the right coursework to be able to design programs and video games in their own school, she left a very lucrative job at Harley-Davidson and went and created Rex Academy with the sole and purpose and intention of increasing opportunities for all students to enter those computer science and career pathways, because we know that the need is great. Cybersecurity is the fastest growing and the only industry out there that has 0% unemployment rate. And let me say that one more time, 0% unemployment rate. Any student that comes in with a basic cybersecurity certification, and we'll talk about that in a minute, can walk into pretty much any company. And these are companies that are right in your backyard, like Coca-Cola, and you've got Google that's coming in, you've got Apple, you've got Dell, you've got Microsoft. All of those folks are hiring students out there, and they're paying them very, very good wages. And these wages are actually what are going to be those things that are going to be able to end that generational poverty for our students that they know of. Right now, we do know that less than 47% of high schools offer computer science courses. We also know that 32 teachers graduated from universities with computer science degrees. They did not enter the teaching field because they didn't want to go into making a field where they're not making as much money as they could in the private sector. We also know that basically less than 21%, I believe the number is actually about 17%, are the latest numbers that we show from the US Bureau of Labor Statistics of computer scientists are women. And then we also know that less than 6% are Black and brown kids, our Latinx and our African-American kids that are going into these computer science fields. But it is important that we also know that all 50 governors signed off on the Computer Science Initiative back in July of 2022. So there are going to be resources, and there's a ton of tools and direction going that way. We do talk a little bit about our advantage. We know that computer science should not be just a checkbox. It should not be something that the schools say, yes, we do that, and yes, we do that, and yes, we do this. It is a whole system that actually encompasses everything that our students do. So besides just having curriculum and professional development for our teachers, we need to have basically animation-based curriculum so that way all the students can actually learn in different ways. Because we know that although that literacy is probably the cure for poverty, when students know what they're reading, they actually can't have the wool pulled over their eyes. We do know that literacy doesn't guarantee you a job. But if I can guarantee you a job by having these certifications and giving you these opportunities, that's really kind of what we're pushing for and looking towards. Additionally, we need to build those skills for success in the global economy. You better believe that our counterparts across the globe in different countries are actually working on these things already. They're working on those analytical thinking and innovation skills. They're working on that technology design and programming, those resilient skills that students need, and that stress tolerance and flexibility to be able to kind of adapt and overcome. They need those complex solving skills that are actually really going to help them be competitive in that global economy, because as we saw, these things are already happening. They're already going on there. Some of our solutions do include our proprietary technology learning platform. To have computer science, it's not just about doing Lego robotics. You actually need about, a variety of different courses out there and tons of content. So our courses are not only a mile wide, but they're also a mile deep, with having about 5,000 hours of total content that's out there as well. And you should also look at, in schools and districts, should also looking at doing summer camps and after school programs so that we can extend the walls of learning, so that we can actually create safe havens for our students, because when they're out there and working on these summer camps and everything, they're not dealing with the violence that's going on out on the streets. They're actually creating these safe learning environments that students can actually be a part of. And then also we provide remote teachers. We know that teachers are in high demand. You saw that only 32 graduated with computer science degrees. Well, we're able to go ahead and provide teachers that deliver this instruction remotely in the classroom to the students that are there as well. And so the way that it looks like, what should be on the mind of any and all superintendents, or I should say, let me back up and say, what's on the mind of all the superintendents that I'm speaking with across the country, and today I'm talking to you guys from Washington, D.C., is the 4 E's of what a graduate or the profile of a graduate looks like. And the graduate should be enrollable into the college of their choice, should be enlistable into the branch of the military that they may want to go into. They should be employable into the job that they may want to go into, or they should be entrepreneurial, and they should be able to go ahead and want to do those things for themselves. And so we focus on our 4 E's as well. We focus on exploring at the very basic levels in the very early ages. We want our students in K through 5 to explore different programs like game-based programming and code-based, block-based programming as well. And as they start developing that manual dexterity, moving them into keyboarding and internet safety, and then inventing apps and that sort of thing. All of our apps and all of our pathways are customizable, so much so that when they go into engage in the middle school, that they're able to kind of focus more so on that app development. They start getting some of that web design and media, and they start working on 2D game design. And then we start introducing languages like Java and Python, which is what they will be using out in the real world. And speaking of which, they need to evolve so that they can fit into that real world. So in high school, we start focusing on pathways, and these pathways lead to certifications. We're also working with the University of Wisconsin so that we can actually have students get dual credit, not from just a JC, but from a university that will actually transfer anywhere that the students go. So web development pathways, software development, cybersecurity. And then also, as I mentioned, we want to encourage them in after school and summer school programs with just a list of different games, different programs they can belong to, different things that they can actually do to focus on those skills and hone those skills over the summertime and after school. And again, the reason why we do this is for those industry certifications. By going through the courses, they should be able to go ahead and come out and be CompTIA certified in IT network fundamentals, basic cybersecurity, Oracle and Java, HTML script, and basically writing programs, etc. So we really want the students to be able to do that. And the whole reason why these post certifications are important is this is that life-changing money that we were talking about, right? Again, in the top 3 jobs in the country, information security analysts, cybersecurity, computer systems analysts, and network and computer systems administrators, they're making a median wage of about $90,000. And these jobs just continue to grow and grow and grow. And we're also, like I said before, experiencing 0% unemployment rate, and especially these jobs that we have here. So again, it's making a huge difference for our communities that are out there. We do work with a variety of different partners. We'd love to be able to add Atlanta Public Schools to this. We are working with Clark County School District, the 5th largest school district in the country, as well as Denton ISD. And then we've got small districts that we work with as well. The Episcopal School of Dallas. We work with District 49, which is out in Colorado, Colorado Springs, and several others. Some of the accolades that we received, besides being nominated for like a best of the best type of award, the best thing to me is the 500,000 hours that our students are spending in the platform, because it means that it's engaging, it means that it's working, and it means that the kids love doing what they're doing out there. And that 95% partner renewal, so of all of our summer school programs and everything that we have there. Now, you might think I'm joking with you guys when I tell you guys a little bit about our student work, and I won't play this video. Actually, I'll play it here. You won't be able to hear anything, I don't think. But this is an actual true 7th grade student that put this video together for us. It's a promotional video. I think my audio might go ahead and go down a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and mute it. But you'll be able to see that he actually created this video just after attending a couple of different courses that he was working on for us. Again, this is a little bit dated because he's got some older information on there. We've added since there more programs, more hours of content, etc. But this is just something that he's been able to do in 7th grade. He's now an 8th grader, and he actually runs his own business. And this is his website right up here, where he works with small businesses to do design logos. He designs, he does website development for them. He does a variety of different things. So while he's not doing his homework or maybe his neighbor's homework at home, he's definitely, doing some things for himself as well. In addition to that, we actually have very great video testimonials from our high schools. This is a lot of the times and a lot of the problems that happen in the classrooms is that your teachers are scrambling to try to find curriculum that they're Frankensteining together to try to meet the standards in the curriculum. All of our content is already aligned to that. So we want to give the teachers more time on task that they're teaching our students. We want to increase that student interest in computer science. And most importantly, we want to basically have students pass that, the AP test. And in this particular case, we took Miss Geyer's class, Miss Matamoto's Geyer High School's class. We took them from a 70% pass rate on the AP science test, computer science test, to a 100% pass rate. And this is every single student in that class that took that class received a 3, 4, or 5 so that they didn't have to take this test in college. So those are just some of the things that we actually end up doing out there. I can pause if you want me to take some questions, Ms. Mitchell, or if you wanted me just to go ahead and sit back and let the other presenters go, and I can answer questions at the end. I'll leave it to you guys.
Yeah. Well, if any of the parents have questions, we can take them now because I know we have a couple other things to follow up on an agenda for this evening. So thank you, Ulysses, for giving us a pretty high level overview of Rex Academy and what the possibilities of having a K-12 computer science curriculum that is district-wide and the opportunities that it provides our students, the educational opportunity, but the pathways that are really important as we try to prepare our graduates for college and career life. Do any parents have any questions about Ulysses' presentation?
Yep. And so Board Member Mitchell, before we do take questions, if we do have community members that have any questions. So first of all, good evening, everyone. And we do ask that you do follow our normal behavior, and that is the raising of the hand feature for the Zoom. So if you do have any questions, again, particularly for this presentation for Ulysses, we do ask that you do raise your hand at this time, and we will get it going. So I see we do have Miss K. Mitchell. If you could come off of mute and ask your question.
Well, the only I just had a request. Thank you for the presentation. Can we have some contact information listed in the chat, please?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, let me go ahead. I'll put my contact information there right away.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll move to Bridget, followed by Akeem.
And I just was wondering, how does this work in terms of it being offered at the school? Would it be an elective course, or would the whole entire school be in it? How is it implemented?
Yeah, we haven't engaged in any conversations yet with the school district. The thought, and I can just share with you what other districts do. Some districts do offer these as electives, or they offer them as specials. So we want to be able to go ahead and do that. Some of them actually offer it as an after-school camp where the students that actually do stay after school can go ahead and take advantage. Some of them offer it as a summer school camp. Others will offer it, like you might have some magnet schools throughout the district that are actually offering STEM, which is that science, technology, engineering, and math, and it could take part of the course of one of those as well. So it just really depends on how innovative the district wants to be with it, not to put any pressure on anybody and anything out that way. One of the things I always tell community members is think big, start small, and scale fast. And so we want to think about providing this to every single student and how important this would be for everyone. But we want to basically make sure that the proof of concept works, and we want to basically make sure that we can replicate that for each and every student. Because some students, this might not be their cup of tea. You know, they might not want to go ahead and do that, but this does provide those opportunities for them to be able to do so. I'm sure that I'll work with Board Member Mitchell as well as other members of the district as we get closer to that point. This is just basically more to bring some awareness to computer science.
Thank you.
Of course.
All right, Akeem.
Thank you for the presentation. My question would be, with this platform, how interactive is it with the students from achieving the CompTIA objectives, like the domains?
Yep.
How does it line up with, or how is it different from the CompTIA exam practice that they have? Will be my question.
Absolutely. Great question. Actually, and we're not different than the CompTIA at all. Basically, what we do is we prepare students to be able to take the CompTIA. So they won't come to us for the certification, but by going through the courses and by going through the lessons, they should be able to go ahead and pass that and receive their certifications that way. One of the biggest things that we actually do differently than most other platforms and programs is, and I shouldn't talk about what we do, but I think one of the important things for students to be able to see is have content delivered to them as they need it delivered to them. So not every single student is going to learn the exact same way. So we integrate not only the lessons that we have, but also the video lessons that they can go back and refer to. So we really want students that are very hands-on, that actually require a book, a textbook, to be able to go ahead and open that up. Not that we provide a textbook, but it's all a virtual textbook, to be able to go ahead and learn that way. Or those students that actually do better auditorially by listening to the direction, or those students that actually see better, so they have the example and they're actually able to follow along with that. We want students to be able to be prepared so that they can understand, they can actually retain the information that they're looking for, so that when they do go and take the test, that they're very successful in doing that there. So we definitely want them to be able to go ahead and do that. I think that we'd also probably want to work with some of your local partners out there, some of the businesses, so that they could provide perhaps some of the funding that the students might need to be able to take those types of certifications. I know if it were up to us, we would definitely be doing something like that. So I hope that answered your question.
Yes, and I have one follow-up.
Yes.
So I recently just finished a 9-month boot camp about 3 months ago, and we did we achieved 3 certifications: the CompTIA Foundations, which is ITF Plus, Network Plus, and Security Plus. We also hit at a little A Plus, and it was another one I can't remember. Server Plus. I'm sorry, because I am actually looking for a career in cybersecurity right now. So with the students that are using the platform now, how much lab time are they having, or what platforms are you using for VMs and like stuff of that sort? Does the platform crash a lot, or how stable is it?
Yeah, great question. So just for the group that's not familiar with the term VM, he's talking about virtual machines, and he's talking about coding within an encased platform is basically what we're talking about. Our system is, our uptime is 99.999% up. And so we don't experience that many crashes at all. The virtual machines that we actually have, most of the time school districts have to pay for those. It's better than having students trying to hack into the school district system out there, which we definitely don't want the students to do. So they're able to actually work in a remote environment that's actually already embedded into the platform. What we do is we provide basically all of our content is web-based. And so the students can actually work online in the cloud. But they have this virtual machine that's actually built into the coursework that we have, where they can actually run their scripts. They can actually see how well it's performing. They can see if it's actually testing correctly. They can actually see if they've got all their code in there correctly as well. All of that has been thought of and actually put in there just so that the school districts don't have to invest any additional monies in additional machines or networks or anything that way. It's all done online, and it's very interactable for the students there. So yeah, great question.
Thank you. And I have one more, and this will be my final.
No, please.
With the platform, and I understand that it's very engaging with the students, but does it also, let's say if the student's having a bad day and they're not really hitting like, I guess if their UI, it would be like code, they keep missing it or something not working. Does it encourage breaks and coming back, or how does it encourage like students to keep going forward? Because sometimes it can become frustrating and you can lose interest, especially in like younger students.
Yeah, absolutely. So we leverage the work of our teachers, and whether it's basically the teacher that the district provides that's in the classroom, or whether it's a remote teacher that we provide, we actually make sure that we're tracking everything that the students have and are doing. There's detailed analytics that are built into the platform to kind of show us whether they're having a good day or not, or whether they're understanding content or not. And we actually go back and we analyze that data. Our support really works very closely with the teachers that are actually in the classrooms, just to make sure that we're actually making sure that they understand that the data that they're looking at there, so that we can make those inferences. Maybe Ulysses had a bad day that day, or maybe he didn't have breakfast or something or other, and he's actually having those things. We do make sure that that's in there, and we can actually see some of that data. We don't necessarily have anything that says, okay, you've been working at this for 3 hours straight, time to take a Mountain Dew break or something like that. We don't definitely do that. But there are ways and methods that we can track the usage that students are on there. And we encourage all of the teachers to really take a really deep dive into those analytics so they can make those inferences that they need to help their students. So, yeah.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you, Ulysses. If anyone want to contact him further, just a little bit more information, he did put his email address and how to connect to him in the chat. So I'd like to thank you for your time. This is something that I'll be advocating for our district to have some sort of K-12 computer science curriculum. You see the importance of the job creation, and you see the importance of the education behind it. So this is kind of one of my initiatives. I want to advocate and push for APS for all our schools.
So can I make
so
one little plug, Ms. Mitchell?
Yes.
Akeem, Mr. Williams, actually, listen, if you, I know you want to go into the computer science field, we also need teachers, you know, so if you are passionate about doing this, young men and women need to see people like you being successful and doing these things out there and setting that example and that model. What I didn't tell Ms. Mitchell is that my name is actually Ulises Jose Antonio Navarrete Rivera Rojas. And so that's my full name. I go by Yuli for short, but I let all the students know that because they need to see people like you and I that are actually being able to speak their language and be in the classroom, because we believe that kids can be what they see. And if they see us being successful out there, they can go out and do the exact same thing in the community as well. So I encourage you, use your gifts, use your talents, use everything that you can. Let's just make the world a better place for our kids out there. And let's go ahead and change some lives together. So thank you guys. Thank you guys for the time.
You're welcome. Thank you. Muchas gracias.
De nada.
So we have one more person to kind of give us a report out, but due to time, we're going to move past that. I don't think Sebastian Barron is here on behalf of the governor's office, but if not, Keith, could you give us our district updates and what are our key dates that we looking, well, I don't want to say key dates, but what's coming up. I did mention it early in the meeting about the board meeting that's coming up on Monday. We also have the superintendent evaluation and the appointment of seat at large 9.
Yeah, you covered it.
Okay, I just covered it. Okay.
Yep.
I just want to make sure I wasn't missing anything.
Nope, you're great. You're good.
Okay, good. So I also wanted to see if any of our community had any questions or concerns. I know I've been talking to many of you within this last couple of months after my last meeting, but I do want to see if we have any questions, issues, or concerns that need to be addressed. I did move the meeting to quarterly. I might have to start back doing monthly meetings because I see there's been a lot of communication. A lot of people have been reaching out within the last couple of months. So I do want to just give
Hey, Erika, this is Sebastian. I was online.
You were online. Okay, I'm sorry. There you go, Mr. Sebastian Barron. On behalf of the governor's office, I give you a quick, not quick, but a few minutes to just share some of the updates from the governor's office for K-12.
Okay, I appreciate that, Erika. Hello, everyone. It's Sebastian Barron. I'm the governor's Metro Atlanta representative. Just two areas that I want to touch on and then open up for questions. As some of you may know, during the shutdown period for school across the state of Georgia, we suffered tremendous learning loss issues. Across the state, our average student that was reading on level was 73%. That number now is down to 60%. So a top concern and what we're pushing funding towards is our learning loss scholarship. The way that works is schools will be able to apply for grants from the state for $560 per student. So the bigger the school, the more money they can get. Is primarily focused on elementary schools, but it can be used for any school K through 12. And how the schools can use this funding is to allocate where they see fit how they can address these learning loss issues. And they can use it towards hiring, expanding their paraprofessionals, hiring outside tutors, third parties, expanding student teachers, or use existing programs they might already have to reinforce getting kids back to the proper learning level. Because we know that if they aren't on their proper learning level, everything else falls through as well. A second top priority for the state is public safety. So the governor will be implementing, coming in the next upcoming session, mandatory intruder drill training. Those will take place throughout the state and every school during the months of August and September. So the implementation of this will be structured by GEMA, and every school will utilize their programs based on what they see fit, based on the size of their school. Beyond that are other areas that we're working on, but I'm most interested in hearing from parents and everyone on this call to be more abreast of what your immediate needs and concerns are. Background of myself, I'm from Atlanta and I went to Frederick Douglass High School myself. My mother's been a teacher in APS school system the last 25 years, so I'm very familiar with the community personally. But due to a lot of things going on at the current time, that I would like to just open up to say what issues that you want to make a focus, and hear some of your thoughts and ideas on things that I should be taking back and sharing with our office. So I thank you for the time and look forward to talking with you here. And I also share my personal contact information for reaching out beyond this discussion as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barron. I see we got a couple of hands up. Keith, are you with us? Yeah, there you go.
Yep, I'm here.
Yeah. So these are questions open up to Mr. Barron, but then I also open questions up, to everyone, anyone who has anything else they want to discuss. Go ahead, Keith.
So
Sorry.
Yep. So you're saying you just want to move directly into community concerns and issues as well?
Yeah, after the people who have their hands up, I think it's 4
Okay.
people with hands up, and then we can go into the
Okay.
regular, yes, thank you.
Yep, sounds great. So we have Waukesha, moving to Miss K Mitchell and then Akeem. So we'll do those first three and then we'll end with Miss Bridget. Yep, we're going to order.
Thank you, Keith. I have a quick question. What was his name again?
Sebastian Barron.
Mr. Sebastian. Here in the city, and I'm pretty sure all across Georgia, the special education department has we all know they have been behind, period. But what is the governor doing for that specific population to make sure that those kids are caught up in recent time?
I appreciate you asking that, and I know very familiar with that because my mother actually has been teaching special education for the last 5 years. So I know it was issues even prior to the pandemic, and the biggest push I know is getting the proper support. So that's where our learning loss grants come in, and it's the challenges are different based off the school system. So that's why we're allowing the schools to have the funds allocated to them to address whether it may be they have enough support, because within special education, the retention issue is a lot higher than non-special education. So making sure we have the proper support to address those needs when it comes to special needs students not getting their needs addressed in that way. So that's the first step we're taking to doing. But also being involved in meetings like this to learn exactly if you're at Frederick Douglass or you're at Mays or some of our elementary schools, to know what is it that has been the problem to lead to things being compounded like they have over the last 2 years. So the funding is one part of it, but also beyond that, I would want to be involved in what is occurring in these, so to not assume what the problem is, so we can address it in that way. Because these things I mentioned are being proposed and allocated in the upcoming fiscal year, but we also are open to dialogue to say, what is it that you need to address the problems within the APS as well. So the learning loss grant is just one step in that process.
Okay, thank you for that. I did hear you speak about what is happening at the top to make sure schools are safe throughout the whole entire state of Georgia. I know there have been active shooters in other states. And even in our city, we get some like prank calls and stuff like that. What is being done to kind of try to cut back on a lot of the violence that we're seeing happening around the school?
Yes. Well, one part to touch on with the fake calls, we had a major problem with that down in the coastal area today. And it's something that we're focused on addressing to curb that to address like find out who done it primarily, make sure that person is dealt with, because it's considered like a act of domestic terrorism when someone does that falsely in that way. And it puts the law enforcement and everybody who's here to protect our children in a bad situation, because they happen to react with full force because they don't know it's a prank at first until they get there, like we had down in Savannah earlier today. So what we're doing to address the actual public safety is making these drills mandatory, because each area and each school system has a different level of risk based off the community, based off the size of the school, and based off of other factors. And so we leave that to the school to decide what is the best way to actually implement a plan. But we offer the funding of $30,000, additional $30,000 per school on top of whatever or everything that's already being allocated. So we're looking at it from not just having more on the ground security, but evaluating technological advancements that can survey schools and be there in a way that a person may not be able to. So it's a combination of when you allocate the funds down, but also say, what can we do using technology to make kids safer and not put people at risk in the same way, just like you might see major corporations using technology to advance their security. It's something that is it's a new drone technology they're using in Douglas County that was just approved. That was something they used their funding for. But we want to share ideas that are being done across the state to make people aware of things that other school systems might not be aware of. So that's something I could share with superintendent, the principals as well, about things that we're aware of, so everybody knows the best way to use their funding once they get it, and also things that are being done effectively across the state. So I just want to reiterate that, beyond this meeting, I'm gonna want to be available to people to keep the dialogue going, to say, hey, this is something we're seeing. This is a problem we're seeing, not just for maybe not even a mass shooting. It may be gang activity or other types of more isolated violence that we could take a look at and say, this is a better way to address it, because this is what they're doing in a different district.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right, we'll move to Kay Mitchell and then to Akeem.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sebastian. I had a quick question about some information you just shared with Ms. House. You mentioned about a program that could potentially be beneficial for our APS schools that's taking place. Did you say Douglas County?
Yes, I was referring to it was a Douglas County School Systems is using drone technology. They experimented with it during the football season because they didn't have enough school police, Douglas County police, to provide enough security for the whole stadium. So they use drone technology to identify suspicious activity and radio that in to the sheriff department. So it's different things like that, where it's like you can use these different technologies to be more, to provide more surveillance than just have someone on the ground, because it can survey a larger space in that way. So, example, if you have someone, it'd be like shots fired, like you might have at, unfortunately it happened at a few football games across the state this year. You could have the drone exactly identify that person, keep track of them, where the gunshot was fired at, and use that to track it without having to wait for a police helicopter or wait for the police to come there and find the person. So it's different things like that. And also Cobb County Sheriff Department purchased that same technology about a month ago. So different things like that I would share with people. I would share with our office and GBI to say, hey, here's something that's being used in this county. Maybe you could not have to use it, but suggest what the best innovations are when it comes to safety.
Okay. Would this be in conjunction with the program that you mentioned under GMA, right?
That program for public, that's for the learning loss
Okay.
scholarship. So that's different. That's the $506 per student that the schools can use how they see fit to address learning loss. The $30,000 is separate pot of money. That's for public safety. So each instance when the school and the school system is allocated the funds, it is ultimately up to the superintendent, school board, principal to allocate how they see fit to use those funds. So that's why
Okay.
you might see one thing happening in Douglas and how they're using it, and it's different in APS or Gwinnett because each school system has the freedom to ultimately decide how they want to use it best for their students.
Okay. Is this information available online for more details?
Yes, it is. Yes,
Okay.
I can
Put the
share.
information in the chat.
Yes, Erica.
He could, yeah, he
I'm
can send it
talk.
to me and I can get it to you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you
I
so
can
much.
continue
Not a
my
problem.
my email and my number as well. So
Okay.
I can send that to Erica and she can share it with everybody. So we can I can send it out to everybody that way.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you. We'll move to Akeem, followed by Bridget, and then we'll move to Dunn.
Hey, Mr. Sebastian, how you doing tonight?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm all good. So I heard you mention about public safety and with schools, the governors have some initiatives. With me, I did some work with Urban League of Greater Atlanta, and we identified 21 pillars for redefining public safety. I don't know if you had a chance to read that article. I'm not going to bore you with the words of it, but it's a phenomenal article about public safety and redefining that. Public safety isn't just about policing our students or policing citizens. It's more a holistic standpoint to better a community, to rebuild and restore a community. I say that to say within APS, we could probably count on one hand how many times we've met with our chief of police. Yet our parents are told that it's their responsibility to keep a better eye on their students. We've have special education students within APS that are not being serviced correctly. We have pedophiles in our buildings, yet everyone wants to keep pointing the blame on our students and our children. At what point will adults hold ourselves accountable to better to set up a better role model for our students that we're teaching the ways of the land? Like students, it's almost like if I don't know why my head is hurting, I go to the doctor and the doctor keep asking me, well, what did you do to your head? And I keep telling them, I ain't bumped it or anything, but it hurts. And we just keep going in this back and forth dialogue. It's like, when are we going to really fix the issue, which is my head is hurting?
Yes, I appreciate you sharing that with me and some of your background. I would like to read those 21 pillars as well. You can, Erica can share my email with everyone so you can share that with me and also share my cell phone information as well. But you're correct in what you're saying, particularly in a lot of our APS schools where you have threats of pedophiles through sex trafficking. You have kids being neglected on their mental health needs, which is
Mr.
leading to a
Sebastian,
lot of the other. Yes.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but when I say sexual predators inside buildings, I'm not talking about a parent or somebody coming inside the building. I'm talking about people on APS's payroll that are sexual predators in our building and sexually assaulting our students.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. Yes. So you're referring to at the local within the school system, these acts of predatory behavior against students not being addressed or punished?
Yes, I mean, the investigation is, I believe the last update we received on it is that it's still pending, or the investigation still hasn't been complete.
Okay,
and that's been
thank
about,
you.
it's been a few years on that. We're not understanding how come the investigation isn't complete. and they
Well, I
have
appreciate
video,
you
they have
sharing.
hard evidence.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that with me. I'd have to refer to Erica and any information that I feel would need to be escalated to the GVI or a higher authority to investigate what's going on. I have to discuss that because I'm just not really aware of this particular case
No worries.
that you're referring to. Yes. But
Okay, I'll follow up with you about that.
Yes, but addressing your question about, the deeper symptoms to the problems, we, aware of that a lot of these issues going on within the schools don't just occur out of nowhere. So I do, and, me and Erica talk regularly and working to build even more direct relationships with all the schools in her cluster on what building a better relationship with the state and principals and everybody who's making decisions at these local levels. Is not just the public safety part, what I was talking about earlier, but it's everything when it comes to sharing ideas and being like direct and addressing these issues and why it's happening in certain communities, it's the real symptoms to these problems. So I really would like to read those 21 pillars you told me about, sharing with our office as we look to shape more legislation and more things we can do going forward. The way it works, the state may be aware, we have our legislative session from January to the end of March. That's the time frame when we decide on our budget and shape and pass all our laws for the year. And all of those discussions about things that are being proposed are happening right now. So we'll definitely want to talk to you beyond this meeting to learn everything you're working on in the city and also get those relationships going that I may have with the police chief, the mayor, and people who need to be involved in our day-to-day issues before something really tragic happens.
Yes, sir. And I totally agree.
I'll beyond when something really tragic happens.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Okay, go ahead, Keith. I'm sorry.
Yep. No. So we'll move to Ms. Bridget, followed by Don.
Thank you, Mrs. Patchen, for the information. So just to clarify, for the learning support, is that a proposed, what is proposed to come down the pipes for the schools to be able to utilize that 560, or is that set in stone? I just wanted to clarify.
It's a proposal and it's going to be approved early during this legislative session coming up.
Oh.
It's something that the governor proposed this year, but it was beyond the legislative session time frame. And for Georgia, we only have 40 days to get all our legislative laws done, so it's happening this year. But it's with education, things of this nature, we don't usually have like a lot of pushback. It's really easy to get that bipartisan support on things of this nature. And it's something that we didn't really notice until the summertime. And it's based off of different factors. The dropout rate and the milestone testing. That's how we were able to assess how many kids and compare that to 2019, because this past school year was really the first year, the 21-22 school year, where we had every state in Georgia coming back to school in person full time for the most part. That's when, and then we started back doing the standardized testing again that got suspended for a while during the pandemic time frame. So it was an issue, and it started seeing it even in higher education because we had more kids who were not college ready because of things they missed out in those last 2 years of school. So it was a combined effort of the K-12 testing and also the sometimes the kids might not have their have the grades where they have to take remedial classes in college and they have to take tests to place in these courses. We're seeing a lot of kids across the state, particularly in our 2-year colleges like Atlanta Metropolitan and some others, where they just weren't grading out high enough. Another part that we have to be able to assess this lack or setback was kids testing into dual enrollment, passing the dual enrollment, also dropped. So it had a ripple effect. And that's why the governor implemented this to say we need to put funding into our schools so each principal school district can address this issue. So it is a proposal, but it's something that is close to 100% that you can get, I would say, is being implemented and available to schools coming up in 2023.
Okay, so 2023. And then my daughter goes to a charter school, so I don't know if that's different. I know the funding still goes to APS, but just I want to just kind of ask question behind charter school funding. Is there anything different or any support there that we need to be aware of there as far as support?
It wouldn't be as far as the exact breakdown. I would have to refer to Erika on exactly how the percentages and the breakdowns work. But this funding is available to all schools in Georgia from the state level.
Okay. But that I definitely say that is great to hear, because I'm sure, you know, after everybody got back to school, that's when you really are able to really effectively evaluate how it did affect the kids. So I know I used to substitute in the schools, and I'm helping my daughter, and I'm very active at the school, and I hear it and I see it. So that is something great to hear. And I definitely would be one of the advocate for that to continue to go down the pipe. Second piece is, I understand, you know, the governor gave the teachers a raise, but what else may be implemented for retention for teachers? Because we also are losing teachers at a rapid effect, you know, going to different industries outside of education. Is there any talks there?
The big piece, I appreciate you bringing that up, and you're right. Over, I would say, the last 5 years, as far as the data I've seen, we have seen a tremendous amount of teachers leave the industry within 5 years. And it's a couple of factors, as you know, that play into it, you know, beyond the pay. And it's different by each district. Sometimes it's lack of support from the administration. Sometimes it's a big factor. When I've heard from educators is disciplinary issues increasing and making it more difficult to teach and pursue their profession. So a lot of it has been parallel moves we noticed across the state, where you have teachers get into teaching in one district, and then after 2 years they're in a different district where they feel like they're being more supported, even if the pay is less in some of these more rural or suburban areas. So it's something that the main push we are looking to do with additional raise the amount. Can't get a quote on the amount yet, but we're looking to give additional pay raises for educators across the board in this next fiscal year. But the dialogue on what we can do to retain teachers is something that's ongoing. And as someone who's knowledgeable on the school system, I would like to connect you with people who are in our policy team on education to look at what are those issues that you see, and that we could address to give more support to building more teacher retention overall. Last session, we actually allowing the governor signed the legislation to allow teachers to come back out of retirement to fill this gap, because we have so many teachers leave that we're allowing. Before, you couldn't get your full-time teacher pay and draw full retirement, so we reversed that. So that's probably we'll see over the next year or two how that helps with filling these some of these vacancies that we have for teachers. But along with that, we want to seek to know, like, what can we do more of to keep more educators in the field as well, in the K through 12 sector.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you. So we'll move to Dawn, followed by Dewan.
Hello, this is Dawn. Can you hear me?
We can.
Hello, how you doing?
Okay, perfect. Hey, not Dewan, Dawn. right?
Yes, Don, you're up now,
Done.
then followed by Dewan.
Okay, got it. Hey, I actually have a request and then a question. So my request is at the next District 5 meeting, just listening to just basically the conversation, is it possible to have maybe a 15-minute presentation on our trending data for the maize cluster? And what I mean by that, specifically suspension data.
Yes.
One of the things that we were looking at a report from May 2023, where they actually show suspension data for all of the schools in APS. And for some weird reason, maize was not on it. Like literally, they just completely left maize off. And we are very concerned that our suspension data is high because it was high before. It was excessively high. We were at the top of the food chain. Sorry, I'm actually out walking. Of course, he would start barking when I started talking. Shh. Okay, so sorry about that. Be quiet. All right, so that was so one is suspension data. Also trending, looking at our enrollment, because I think I just saw something from APS Insights around APS enrollment, just kind of looking to see what our enrollment looks like in the cluster, not just maize, but suspension data for the cluster, enrollment by cluster, retention by cluster, like when we're just talking about our teachers and our staff. Because one of the concerns specifically at maize is we are losing teachers. Like they don't even care. They're like, Thursday's my last day. 2 weeks from now is my last day. They're leaving, I mean, lots of people in different positions leaving throughout the semester, which really talks to culture, right? And even some of them, when we said, oh, they're getting promotions, but a lot of people are looking for jobs. And the only way you can leave, because one of the things we ask, if people find jobs that are parallel, they can't leave, right? You can't go to a parallel position in APS right now. The only way you can get out of a school if you're unhappy is to get, it has to at least appear to be a promotion. So I really want us to shine a light and look to see what does the data look like? What is it trending? And kind of where we are so far when it comes to retention loss in the maize cluster, specifically at Maize High School. So that's my request. If we can do that for the next meeting, to just have us look at some data and to see how it's trending over the last maybe 4 or 5 years of what the trends look like. And then my question is, going back to some of the school violence, Monday at Maize High School, there was an absolutely horrible fight. We're getting a lot of these, I don't know if they're gang fights, some of them have been gang fights, but a student basically, I think they broke their leg. They were stomped. I mean, they stomped him and broke his leg, I think. But definitely he left by ambulance, and it was a really big fight. But we're getting, the fights are becoming more often and more violent. So this goes back to, I think Akeem and someone else was talking about school safety. What are we doing about creating an environment trying to prevent some of these issues? This is something that we brought up years ago. I remember, and this was with Fowler, the previous principal, we literally said, the gangs are coming. What are we gonna do to prevent them, to let them know this is not a safe space for gang activity? Unfortunately, over the last 5 or so years, nothing has been done, and now we have rolling gang fights, right? So I would love to just kind of hear, how are we addressing that in our schools, and specifically at Maize? What are we doing around school safety and creating an environment where students just feel safe? Because right now, it's actually pretty violent. Like Monday was a pretty violent day at Maize, and they just got back from Thanksgiving break.
Wow, I was never notified about a fight at Maize, so thank you for sharing that with me.
That was Monday. Yeah. I
That
have the
was Monday.
video. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'll send you the video.
Please do.
Yeah, I'll send you the
I
video
did
because it
not
was
get
sent to
any
me.
notification or anything, and I try to make sure that I am available to receive or pick up your calls, and I didn't get anything from the district. So please share that with me so I can address it and follow up. And then for next meeting, yes, I will be able to provide that data for you. I think that's something that we need to discuss and see where the opportunities are. Improvement can be, and also just for parents to understand what is happening. So yes, Don, I will have that for you, but then please send me the video of that fight so I can follow up with Superintendent Herring and see what is being done around the fights, what preventative measures the district is going to take, even the school. I think if we can jump on it immediately and put some things in place, because it's not going to stop. and it haven't stopped. Like you
No, it's
said,
getting worse. It's getting worse,
it's getting
actually.
worse,
And more violent. Like the
and more violent.
ambulances are coming. Like
Yeah.
it's escalating. Exactly what Akeem said. It is escalating and it's getting worse. It's getting more violent.
And our kids need to feel safe in school, as well as in the community. And so thank you for sharing that with me. I will jump on top of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello,
All right,
Don.
thank you. Oh,
Hey, I was just going to add on. Don, were you a parent at Mays High School?
Yes, 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 yes,
I
yes, yes.
appreciate you sharing that information with you. You may be aware of this already, but a lot of these gang kids, you know, they aren't aspiring to be gang members, but they are getting recruited what we call crime trafficking. So what we're doing at the state level, and it's not the only answer, but it's a part of it, you know, just like people are being preyed on, you know, young boys, young girls are being preyed on to commit a lot of these crimes, you know, when they're in high school and middle school. And this gang culture has been flowing through the schools because, you know, you have a kid that's 14, you have an adult, because these 14-year-olds, they aren't starting the gangs, they're just in them or a part of this activity. So you got somebody 21, 22 recruits them to commit crimes. Now they're part of the Rolling Crips or whichever gang, and they bring that culture into the school. So what's happening at the state level is not going so hard on the kids, but focusing on tougher penalties for adults that are crime trafficking our kids. Because, you know, no kid, you know, I'm not sure how old is your son or daughter?
It's my niece, and I'm in 10th grade. And I think the student that was jumped, it's a mess. Like, and I think this rolling fight it needs to be investigated because it's convoluted. Because just to add a little background, my understanding, and again, it could be 100% wrong. I got the video of the fight, so I know that's correct. But this is retaliation for the supposed, possibly a rape that happened in a school or a sexual assault. And like it's cousins, like it's something, I don't know what's going on, but it's continuous and it's happening a lot. So, but no, I think the victim was a 10th grader, but my niece is in 10th grade.
Okay. Yeah, it's something that, you know, from just looking at some of the legal documentation of some of these cases and how things escalate with some of these kids, there's a lot of problems with the violence is stemming from gang initiation crimes and gang culture from kids being recruited into these gangs. So it's something we've taken a look at because it has grown. All 159 counties in the state have gangs in them now, and it's just more prevalent in certain counties. But I'd love to connect with you on, you know, what we're doing. Me and Erika working on some things over at Douglas. Actually going to be over there Friday to meet with the principal and do the same thing at Mays, just to be aware, because I know it looks bad, and it is, but it's just a few kids causing some problems, you know, and we want to address it the right way so we don't make things worse and don't have more kids becoming victims and get caught up in the system. So, you know, I appreciate you sharing that with me and really look forward to, you know, coming over to visit Mays and see what we can do about some of these issues they have.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
all right. We will hear from Dewan, but before we do so, because we have reached 7:15, I know we got started late, so we allowed the meeting to extend a little longer. But we will end with Chris Brown as being our last speaker for the evening. So we'll hear from Dewan, we'll hear back from Ms. Kay Mitchell, and then we'll end with Chris Brown in that order.
Hey, what happened to Erika part, the Q&A? Have we got to that?
Yeah.
This is the Q&A, yeah, because
Yeah,
I said
it was a combination of both.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question for you, Erika.
Okay.
So
Okay, go ahead.
So we're in with Waukesha, raise your hand back, and so we're in with you. You'll be our last speaker.
Okay, thanks.
All right. All right, Dewan, it's on you.
Hey, Sebastian, how's it going, man?
Hey, what's going on, Dewan?
Hey, I want to ask you. I seen the $65 million that the governor rolled out for the homeless initiative, a couple of months ago. I wanted to know what's the plan for the local nonprofits that's in the area to assist the schools in the district inside of APS, because as you both who just recently died, knew both of the young girls and the parents that was also shot. And a lot of these parents reaching out, man, and not getting the help and the resources. And we need to have these local nonprofits on the ground who want to help, not just in it for the money, who have a record of helping and know these kids and know how to help. And we not getting any help from our local government, man. So I need your assistance in pointing me in the right direction from the governor's office at this point.
I appreciate that, Dewan. Yeah, we always work together on things. So definitely want to see. I haven't looked at how much of that funding has been allocated. But I can connect you with our Office of Budget and Planning, because they usually track the numbers when things are rolling out, like people requesting the grants and everything. So we can see who has received the money, how much is left, and also like programs that you work with, how they can be a part of getting some of that money allocated to them as well. So we can catch up tomorrow and talk about all that, the breakdown and all that.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. And I'll just connect with you outside of this. Thank you.
All right, no problem.
All right, Kay Mitchell.
Okay, I think he said Mr. Brown was next.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Chris Brown.
No, it was you before me, Kay. Ladies first.
Oh, thank you. Chivalry is still alive. But I had a couple of, well, not a question, but more so, well, yes, it will be a question. Ms. Mitchell and Mr. Barron, what are we doing to help engage the parents to help in some of the issues that the schools are encountering from across the state? Because it seems like there's a unfortunately, it seems that very concerning issues are taking place across the board. And it's getting, as opposed to being, getting better, as the young lady mentioned, they're progressively getting worse. So what are we doing to engage these parents and letting them know the severity of what the schools are facing? What if there's regular communications with the parents in regards to the issues that's taking place within the school, so that it can be some sort of a collaborative effort, possibly?
Yes, thank you for that question. Because that's what I'm working. That's what I'm working on right now. Today I've been on the phone, of course, with Mr. Barron, with Commissioner Hall, with Miss Ali, who runs Department of Correction and Juvenile Courts. And the reason why is because I can't do it by myself. So I got to go out and find resources and people to help me so I can understand how we can all work together. Our superintendent is working with the mayor's office, okay? But me as an elected board member and elected official, I can work with different people and bring them into the district to help support the needs of our families and our parents. And one of the first meetings will probably be sometime next week or the week after, just depending on if we can get it scheduled, is the parent engagement pilot. And that is coming from a state level because we have such a need in this. I can only speak for District 5, but I know the need is greater in APS, but I'm sorry, District 5 is, primarily, but all of APS, but I have to narrow down on getting to the root of the problem so we can fix it and we can work together. That's the neighborhood association. That's the NPU. That's the faith-based community. That's the nonprofits. That's everybody coming together and say, look, this is what we need to do. Let's identify the areas of need and align the resources to meet the needs. And it's bigger than just one person. It has to be all of us. And I've been preaching this and saying this since I got on the school board, because let me tell you something. 3 months after being elected and sworn in 2018, that's when I started to see that I want to say it in a way that I don't compromise anybody. That's when I saw where the need was. I remember a 10-year-old kid had committed suicide, and I still have a hard time dealing with that to this day because of resources, because we didn't have certain things in our schools to help support these children. Are we getting better? Yes, and identifying and trying to partner? Yes, but the need is so great because it had been going on and on for so long. And we at a unique space right now, coming in out of the pandemic. We need as much resource and collaboration that we can get. So I open my door to anybody who want to help, because we got to do it together. And so I'm working on that with Mr. Barron and other entities in the state of Georgia, in the city of Atlanta, and Fulton County, because we gotta get it right, because our kids are depending on us.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Chris Brown.
Hey, I just want to say good evening, and Erika, this is a great meeting, great resources and great conversation. Hoping that we can definitely start to have this on a monthly basis, and start to be able to connect some dots and really create this as a work group. From a public safety standpoint, and from a community standpoint, there are new elections that just happened in the NPUs. There's going to be communication from a public safety standpoint coming out to all of the NPUs, making sure that every community is engaging from APAB and their schools with their go teams, and just understanding how to flow and communicate, which leads me to the conversation about the engagement policy that I've been talking about for so long, and trying to move those things to create, because you can easily go do this stuff with other people, but you have to have your own infrastructure as well. So when we get the information, that we know how it's flowing, and we're making sure that our stakeholders are available and receiving the information based on infrastructure that we already utilize. So I look forward to working with you and the rest of the NPUs, because engagement right now, like the lady said, that she's cried out for help to not one or two people, it's several people. I want to follow up with like you first, because I also help people get in spaces to help serve these schools. But I got a conversation today with a person that was saying that, and I've been hearing this lately, with people having access to the schools who may have had previous. I know there's a lot of new principles and new things happening, in terms of since the pandemic has happened, and even talking about just access to the school, from a COVID standpoint. But those services were essential in these schools. So just even reevaluating some of our partners and how they're in their ability to serve these schools, and how they in the capacity on how they used to versus pre and post COVID. So that we kind of help and get that help in that you're talking about.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Brown. Waukesha?
Yes. I wanted to follow back up off of Chris before I ask my question. Erika, he's absolutely right. He is absolutely 100% right. I have talked to seniors who have said, I tried to reach out to the school to connect with them, to do engagement, to try to bring resources or whatever the kids need to the school, but they never follow up. And I'm gonna be honest, my son is in the 9th grade. This have been happening for 9 years now. And I know this person. So Chris is absolutely correct about people who want to help trying to connect with the school. And it don't even have to be inside the school. It can be on the outside, but you want the school to feel comfortable to come outside, staff, principal, whether you live in the community or not, to take this support so that we can have all the resources we need for our babies. So Chris, thank you for lifting it up. He's absolutely correct. I wanted to ask this, Erika, are you aware that it's a federal investigation going on right now with the segregation of classes? Okay, you are aware of that?
Mhm. I am aware of that. At Maryland,
I
is that what
believe
you're
so.
speaking about? Yes. Yes.
Okay. And retaliation and stuff. Now this is my concern now that
Yeah.
this is happening. The person is still in place. We already know that. And however that play out, okay. But I know people that have did less and been gone. And I say because this is what hurt our kids. We have some good freaking teachers and principals and social workers that don't came through, and they get pushed away because people want to keep their friends, their sorority and frat brothers and sisters in these jobs. And I get it, because we can help each other. But if you're not going to help children, and if you're not going to stand up when a child get killed or a child gets stomped in a school, you gonna have to find another job. I'm sorry, we gonna have to call a spade a spade. If you're not going to stand up when these things happen, because when these kids commit crimes and they're labeled as thugs on the street, don't nobody say, oh, it's the teacher, the school. First thing they say, oh, that's a bad parent. That parent was terrible. That child spend their awakened hours in the school, and the school can work with the parents and the community. But Erika, a lot of our mamas had to work. My sister sitting right next to me, and my sister had to work 3 jobs, and she was homeless. And I went looking for help, and we didn't find nothing, Erika. We had to get it out the mud. Do you hear me? Like, we had to really go find this stuff ourselves. And can't nobody say the resources are not there, because I know they is. I seen APS budget. I seen the state of Georgia budget. And I'll land on this. I'm glad the young man Sebastian is on, and I'm glad, Erika, you working to create relationships across the aisle, because it is going to take all of us. And if we all work together and stop trying to be so politically correct, then we can move some mountains for our babies. But our babies shouldn't be this far behind in 2020, and we got $1 billion budget. They graduated people out of Frederick Douglass and Washington High School with nothing. So we're going to have to tighten up. And now we got a federal investigation going on. And I'm going to say this. If it would have been somebody else, the story would have been completely different. But we got to stop holding these people that it's not good for our babies. I'm sorry.
I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. I've had enough. And I just had enough. Because I get too emotional. I can't. I've had enough. So I'm right there with you.
Thank you for the meeting.
Thank you, Erika.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Barron.
And so, Board Member Mitchell, we will now like to turn it back over to you for closing. We did have some additional people to raise their hand, but I do ask, because we have reached our time for the meeting, that they just reach out to you directly to address their concerns and questions that they may have. But at this moment, we'll just turn it back over to you to provide closing remarks and next steps.
Yeah, I'm just gonna put my email in here. I am available, so you guys can call me, email me if you want to meet for coffee or what have you. Just let me know. My work schedule is dying down towards the end of the year and the beginning of the year. Thank you for that. But so I've been able to make myself more available. So and here's my direct cell number if you want to call me. You can, but I will see you all next month after we get over the new year for our next meeting. Well, not next month. Hold on. Today is November 30th. Okay, after December, January. But until then, you can always reach out to me. Thank you. You'll have a good night and stay safe.
All right. Have a great night.
Thank you.